Gordon Speedie Pask was an English cybernetician and psychologist who made significant contributions to cybernetics, instructional psychology, experimental epistemology and educational technology. Biography. Pask was born in Derby, England in 1928. After qualifying precociously as a mining engineer at Liverpool Polytechnic, now Liverpool John Moores University, Pask obtained an MA in Natural Sciences from Cambridge in 1952 and a PhD in Psychology from the University of London in 1964. Whilst visiting Professor of Educational Technology, he obtained the first DSc from the Open University and an SCD from his college, Downing, Cambridge in 1995. From the 60s, Pask directed commercial research at System Research Limited in Richmond, Surrey, and his partnership, Pask Associates. Work. Overview. Gordon's primary contributions to cybernetics, educational psychology, learning theory and systems theory, as well as to numerous other fields, was his emphasis on the personal nature of reality, and on the process of learning as stemming from the consensual agreement of interacting actors in a given environment. His work was complex, extensive, and deeply thought out, at least until late in his life, when he benefited less often from critical feedback of research peers, reviewers of proposals and reports to government bodies in the US and UK, and, perhaps most especially, the tension between experimentation and theoretical stands. His publications, however, represent a storehouse of ideas that are not fully mined. Pask's most well-known work was The Development of Conversation Theory, is a cybernetic and dialectic framework that offers a scientific theory to explain how interactions lead to construction of knowledge, or, as Pask preferred, knowing. It came out of his work on instructional design and models of individual learning styles. In regard to learning styles, he identified conditions required for concept sharing and described the learning styles holist, serialist, and their optimal mixture versatile. He proposed a rigorous model of analogy relations, interactions of actors theory. This is a generalized account of the eternal kinetic processes that support kinematic conversations bounded with beginnings and ends in all media. It is reminiscent of Freud's psychodynamics, Bateson's panpsychism. Pask's nexus of analogy, dependence and mechanical spin produces the differences that are central to cybernetics. Pask participated in the seminal exhibition, Cybernetics Serendipity, with the interactive installation, Colloquy of Mobiles. Continuing his ongoing dialogue with the visual and performing arts, Pask influenced such diverse individuals as Ted Nelson, who references Pask and computer lib dream machines and whose interest in hypermedia is much like Pask's entailment meshes, and Nicholas Negroponte, whose earliest research efforts at the architecture machine group on idiosyncratic systems and software-based partners for design have their roots in Pask's work as a consultant to Negroponte's efforts. Interactions of actors theory. While working with clients in the last years of his life, Gordon Pask produced an axiomatic scheme for his interactions of actors theory, less well known than his conversation theory. Interactions of actors theory in some applications, as the manuscript is entitled, is essentially a concurrent spin calculus applied to the living environment with strict topological constraints. One of the most notable associates of Gordon Pask, Gerard Azeu, was a key contributor to the development of interactions of actors theory. Interactions of actors theory is a process theory. As a means to describe the interdisciplinary nature of his work, Pask would make analogies to physical theories in the classic positivist enterprises of the social sciences. Pask sought to apply the axiomatic properties of agreement or epistemological dependence to produce a sharp-valued social science with precision, comparable to the results of the hard sciences. It was out of this inclination that he would develop his interactions of actors theory. Pask's concepts produce relations in all media, and he regarded IA as a process theory. In his complementarity principle he stated, processes produce products and all products are produced by processes. Most importantly, Pask also had his exclusion principle. He proved that no two concepts or products could be the same because of their different histories. He called this the no doppelgangers clause or edict. Later he reflected, time is incommensurable for actors. He saw these properties as necessary to produce differentiation and innovation or new coherences in physical nature and, indeed, minds. In 1995 Pask stated what he called his last theorem: like concepts repel and unlike concepts attract. For ease of application, Pask stated, the differences and similarities of descriptions were context and perspective dependent. In the last 3 years of his life, Pask presented models based on knot theory knots which described minimal persisting concepts. He interpreted these as acting as computing elements which exert repulsive forces to interact and persist in filling the space. The knots, links and braids of his entailment mesh models of concepts, which could include tangle-like processes seeking, tail-eating, closure. Pask called tapestries. His analysis proceeded with like-seeming concepts repelling or unfolding, but after a sufficient duration of interaction a pair of similar or like-seeming concepts will always produce a difference and thus an attraction. Amity, respectability, responsibility, unity were necessary properties to produce agreement and agreement to disagree when actors interact. Concepts could be applied imperatively or permissively when a Petri condition for synchronous transfer of meaningful information occurred. Extending his physical analogy, Pask associated the interactions of thought generation with radiation. Operations generating thoughts and penetrating conceptual boundaries within participants excite the concepts bounded as oscillators, which, in ridding themselves of this surplus excitation, produce radiation. In sum, IA supports the earlier kinematic conversation theory work where minimally two concurrent concepts were required to produce a non-trivial third. One distinction separated the similarity and difference of any pair in the minimum triple. However, his formal methods denied the competence of mathematics or digital serial and parallel processes to produce applicable descriptions because of their innate pathologies in locating the infinitesimals of dynamic equilibria. He dismissed the digital computer as a kind of kinematic magic lantern. He saw mechanical models as the future for the concurrent kinetic computers required to describe natural processes. He believed that this implied the need to extend quantum computing to emulate true field concurrency rather than the current von Neumann architecture. Reviewing IA, he said, interaction of actors has no specific beginning or end. It goes on forever. Since it does so, it has very peculiar properties. Whereas a conversation is mapped, an interaction, in general, cannot be treated in this manner. Kinematics are inadequate to deal with life. We need kinetics. Even so, as in the minimal case of a strict conversation, we cannot construct the truth value, metaphor or analogy of A and B. The A-B differences are generalizations about a coalescence of concepts on the part of A and B. Their commonality and coherence is the similarity. The difference is the differentiation of A and B. Truth value in this case meaning the coherence between all of the interacting actors. He added, it is essential to postulate vectorial times and furthermore times which interact with each other in the manner of Lewis Kaufmann's knots and tangles. In experimental epistemology, Pask, the philosopher-mechanic, produced a toolkit to analyze the basis for knowledge and criticize the teaching and application of knowledge from all fields, the law, social and system sciences to mathematics, physics and biology. In establishing the vacuity of invariance, Pask was challenged with the invariance of atomic number, R. He said, the atomic hypothesis. He rejected this instead, preferring the infinite nature of the productions of waves. Pask held that concurrence is a necessary condition for modeling brain functions, and he remarked IA was meant to stand AI, artificial intelligence, on its head. Pask believed it was the job of cybernetics to compare and contrast. His IA theory showed how to do this. Heinz von Förster called him a genius, Mr. Cybernetics, the cybernetician. Hewitt's actor model. The Hewitt, Bishop and Steiger approach concerns sequential processing and inter-process communication in digital, serial, kinematic computers. It is a parallel or pseudo-concurrent theory, as is the theory of concurrency. See concurrency. In Pask's true field concurrent theory, kinetic processes can interrupt each other, simply reproducing or producing a new resultant force within a coherence, but without buffering, delays or priority. No doppelgangers. There are no doppelgangers, is a fundamental theorem, edict or clause of cybernetics due to Gordon Pask in support of his theories of learning and interaction in all media, conversation theory and interactions of actors theory. It accounts for physical differentiation and is Pask's exclusion principle. It states no two products of concurrent interaction can be the same because of their different dynamic contexts and perspectives. No doppelgangers is necessary to account for the production by interaction and intermodulation of different, evolving, persisting and coherent forms. Two proofs are presented, both due to Pask. Duration proof: consider a pair of moving, dynamic participants A and B producing an interaction T. Their separation will vary during T. The duration of T observed from A will be different from the duration of T observed from B. Let T's and TF be the start and finish times for the transfer of meaningful information. We can write thus ABQED. Pask remarked, conversation is defined as having a beginning and an end, and time is vectorial. The components of the vector are commensurable. On the other hand, actor interaction time is vectorial with components that are incommensurable. In the general case, there is no well-defined beginning and interaction goes on indefinitely. As a result, the time vector has incommensurable components. Both the quantity and quality differ. No doppelgangers applies in both the conversation theory's kinematic domain, where times are commensurable, and in the eternal kinetic interactions of actors domain, where times are incommensurable. Reproduction proof: the second proof is more reminiscent of R.D. Lane. Your concept of your concept is not my concept of your concept. A reproduced concept is not the same as the original concept. Pask defined concepts as persisting, countably infinite, recursively packed spin processes in any medium that produce relations. Here we prove A, B, D means description of, and less than con A, D A greater than reads A's concept of T produces A's description of T, evoking Dirac notation. tar equals A equals less than con A, dA greater than A's concept of T, TB equals B equals less than con B, dB greater than B's concept of T, or, in general, TZ equals less than con Z, DZ greater than, also. In general, A equals less than con A, dA greater than A's concept of A, AB equals less than con A, dA greater than A's concept of B, and vice versa, or, in general terms, ZZ equals less than con Z, DZ greater than, given that for all Z and all T, the concept tar equals A is not equal to TB equals B, and that AA equals A is not equal to bar equals B, and vice versa. Hence, there are no doppelgangers. QED. A mechanical model. Pask attached a piece of string to a bar with 3 knots in it. Then he attached a piece of elastic to the bar with 3 knots in it. One observing actor, A, on the string would see the knotted intervals on the other actor as varying as the elastic was stretched and relaxed, corresponding to the relative motion of B as seen from A. The knots correspond to the beginning of the experiment and the start and finish of the A-B interaction, referring to the 3 intervals, where X, Y, Z are the separation distances of the knots from the bar and each other. He noted X greater than Y greater than Z on the string for participant A does not imply X greater than Z for participant B on the elastic. A change of separation between A and B producing Doppler shifts during interaction, recoil, or the differences in relativistic proper time for A and B would account for this. For example, on occasion a second knotted string was tied to the bar representing coordinate time. Further context. Set in further context, Pask won a prize from Old Dominion University for his complementarity principle. All processes produce products and all products are produced by processes. This can be written app equals greater than dz, where equals greater than means producers and app means the application of, d means description of, and z is the concept mesh or coherence of which t is part. This can also be written less than app dz greater than. Pask distinguishes imperative from permissive application, where information is transferred in the Petri net manner, the token appearing as a hole in a torus producing a Klein bottle containing recursively packed concepts. Pask's hard or repulsive carapace was a condition he required for the persistence of concepts. He endorsed Riche's coherence theory of truth approach, where a set membership criterion of similarity also permitted differences amongst set or coherence members. But he insisted repulsive force was exerted at set and members' coherence boundaries. He said of Spencer-Brown's laws of form that distinctions must exert repulsive forces. This is not yet accepted by Spencer-Brown and others. Without a repulsion, or Newtonian reaction at the boundary, sets, their members or interacting participants would diffuse away, forming smudge, Hilbertian marks on paper would not be preserved. Pask, the mechanical philosopher, wanted to apply these ideas to bring a new kind of rigor to cybernetic models. Some followers of Pask emphasize his late work, done in the closing chapter of his life, which is neither as clear nor as grounded as the prior decades of research in machine and theory building. This tends to skew the impression gleaned by researchers as to Pask's contribution or even his lucidity. Publications. Pask wrote several books and more than 200 journal articles. Books, a selection. 1961, An Approach to Cybernetics. Hutchinson. 1975, Conversation, Cognition and Learning. New York. Elsevier. 1975, The Cybernetics of Human Learning and Performance. Hutchinson. 1976, Conversation Theory, Applications in Education and Epistemology. Elsevier. 1981, Calculator Saturnalia, or Travels with a Calculator, a compendium of diversions and improving exercises for ladies and gentlemen with Ranulph Glanville and Mike Robinson. Wildwood. 1982, Microman Living and Growing with Computers, with Susan Curran Macmillan. 1993, Interactions of Actors, Theory and Some Applications. 1996, Heinz von Förster's Self-Organization, the Progenitor of Conversation and Interaction Theories. Other papers. 1993, Interactions of Actors, Theory and Some Applications, downloading complete 90-page manuscript of 1993. 1996, Heinz von Förster's Self-Organization, the Progenitor of Conversation and Interaction Theories, Systems Research 13, 3, pp. 349 to 362. About Gordon Pask Bird, J. and I. Paulo A. Gordon Pask and His Maverick Machines. In P. Husbands. Wheeler, Holland, The Mechanical Mind in History, Cambridge, Massachusetts. MIT Press, pp. 185 to 211. ISBN 9780262083775. Barnes, Justice, Love and Wisdom. Medicinska Naklada, Zagreb. ISBN 953-176-017-9. Glanville and Scott, About Gordon Pask, special double issue of Cybernetis, Gordon Pask, Remembered and Celebrated, Part 1, 30, 5/6, pp. 507-508. Green. Axioms from Interactions of Actors Theory, Cybernetis, 33, 9/10, pp. 1433-1462. Download. Glanville. Gordon Pask, A Festschrift Systems Research, 10, 3. Pangaro. An examination and confirmation of a macro theory of conversations through a realization of the protologic LP by microscopic simulation. PhD thesis. Links. Margaret Rosen. The Control of Control, Gordon Pask's Cybernetische Aesthetic. In. Ranulph Glanville, Albert Muller. Pask present. Cat. Of Exhib. Atelier Farbegasse, Vienna, 2008. 130-191. Scott. And Glanville G. Special double issue of Cybernetis, Gordon Pask, Remembered and Celebrated, Part 1, 30, 5/6. Scott. And Glanville G. Special double issue of Cybernetis, Gordon Pask, Remembered and Celebrated, Part 2, 30, 7/8. Scott. Gordon Pask. The Cybernetics of Self-Organization, Learning and Evolution Papers 1960-1972, pp. 648 edition Echo RAM.